Now, talking about surviving a dangerous situation, right? Obviously, this podcast is all about. You have a really great story, and I think you became commander of the Navy parachute team, the Leapfrogs, correct?
Yes.
So tell me about you. You basically got into a situation, right? You're coming. What were you coming into a stadium, and you ended up.
We were training at a brownfield, and thank God it was a training scenario. Not actually a demonstration. And so the winds come out of the west from the ocean side and come across. And this particular day, it was out of the east. And no big deal. I mean, the drop zone, you're coming from different angles all the time. Because if you think about it, like when you typically jump into a stadium, you are in downtown, whatever city. There's skyscrapers all around. There's highways moving right around the area. There's parking lots full of cars. The best place you have to land that thing is on that 100 yards of a football field or in the outfield of the baseball field. That is your biggest clearing area. Yeah. You have to hit it from 2.5 miles up when you jump from 13,500 feet. And so the equivalent would be if you were to stand up and you put a quarter on the ground, and that's the stadium from like your perspective. That's what the perspective is from 13,500 feet. Wow. And so in this training day down in Brown, the winds were out of the east. We were in a C-130. We jumped out, we linked up. We were doing side planes, doing some rotations, some base pins and stuff like that under canopy. And then we're like, the winds are gusting a little bit more than we thought. Like, let's just break apart and then just take it in just to make sure that we all get back. It's like, okay. And my buddy that I was working with, he was on a 218 square parachute. I was on a 235 square foot parachute. And he had a bit better drive than I did. And so he made it back fine. Now as I was coming in, I didn't want to figure out that I wasn't going to clear the telephone lines as I got there. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna bail. I'll land in the parking lot. I'll get made fun of, whatever. But I'll jump in and I'll get right back on the plane and do it again. And as I was coming in, I was like, okay. I didn't know if I was going to clear the telephone line, so I went left, lined up on the parking lot, and then all of a sudden, the parking lot was the parking area for an old terminal that was now a restaurant. And there were telephone poles or like light poles in the middle of it, and cars started moving around. When was the last time you were driving your car looking up for skydivers? And I was like, nope, it's not gonna work. And so I went left again. And meanwhile, like, I'm coming down. As I said, there is no pause button. You got to make decisions now. Right. And so I went left again. I landed on the tarmac side of the airport, which no big deal. We land on cement all the time. But as I was coming in, the winds that were out of the east were hitting the front side of the building, coming up and pushing down on the backside, which then did not help as I was coming in, I front riser, changed the attack angle of my parachute to pick up speed in order to flare and land. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see the twin turboprop plane that was on to my left because I was above it, so I couldn't hear the blades, and the blades were fully spinning because he was about to taxi out because they couldn't see him. And as I came in behind him, the dirty air collapsed my parachute, the wind pushed down, which kind of tackled it. And from about 30, 35 feet up, I went back into free fall and just smacked like a ton of bricks into the cement. Damn. Ended up with a bilateral calcaneus fracture, so I ended up crushing both my heels. And that began a long road of recovery, right, to learn how to walk again. But that was jump 164, and I've got over 1,000 jumps now, so I should have learned, but I didn't.
That's early on in your jumping career too. I think too it's important for people to understand the size of parachutes, right? So big parachutes fly slow and clumsy. Then you've got what these guys are jumping. They're jumping equivalent to a tablecloth, right? I mean, it's tiny, so it means it just goes so fast, which means that tactical decision making on the fly becomes really important, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you've got to make decisions fast because, and it's like kind of like looking at it backwards, where if I want to be here, like down here at a certain point, you kind of have to walk it back up to know you got to start here. Like for example, my one friend, we did the smallest we ever jumped, I think for like our camera guy was like a 150 elliptical. And to your point, cross brace, elliptical, squares, 7-cell, 9-cell, they all changed the attitude of flight under canopy. And you could do, like on the one we had, you could do a toggle turn. So simply pull your toggle and you could turn 350 feet in the air. You could do a riser turn, which is grabbing the whole like changing the attitude, and you could drop 600 feet in the air. And you want to know that on every single one, not when you're high, not low. But to your point, like on those small little, we call them malfunction magnets. Like I had a buddy as a sport parachute would jump an 88 square foot parachute.
Damn.
I mean, when he would do a riser turn, he would have to start at 1,200 feet up. And when he finished a 360 on that, he was at the ground, surfing across the ground. And it sounded like a freight train coming in because the air being pulled into the front of that was just massive. It sounded like a train coming in.
That's insane. You guys can keep that shit. I'm not doing it.